What's up, y'all? That is a tune called the Donegal Lass. It's a new tune, relatively new tune, written by Brian Finnegan. I don't tend to play a lot of new tunes on this channel just because there's about a billion old tunes that I've yet to learn and play properly, but this one came up at a session in Limerick, of all places, but surrounded by some Donegal people, so I figured I'd represent. Let's learn it. This tune's in the key of D, but it's a little bit in A. You'll see what I mean, I guess. It kind of does some A arpeggios to start off, actually. So here we go with the basic melody. We'll do that nice and slow, as we always do. That's the first section. You kind of get introduced to that hook of the tune. I think that G major thing, the F sharp bit there, that's to me the part that really jumps out with this tune. The second half of the A part, the first part is a repeat, so you really only got just the last bit of this tune to learn new, but here's the second half. Here we go, still nice and slow. So again, just that ending part that's different. The whole first section is the same as the first section of the first half. So basically the first quarter and the second quarter are repeated. We'll run the whole A part now all together, nice and easy, same tempo. Here we go. Hopefully you're hearing some possibilities for ornaments and rolls and such, particularly like the way that that bit ended. But let's get the B part and then we'll come back and kind of work the whole tune all together. Fortunately, the B part also has some repeats to it, starting with that hook. It's kind of an inverse, I guess, of the A part, but here we go. So there it's just the middle section. That's a little bit different. That first part just repeats the hook from the A part. The last half repeats that same hook again and then uses the same ending of the A part. So really nothing new to learn here, but here we go. Again, just a repeat of how the A part ends. So it's really only a couple of sections that you gotta get. I'll play the whole tune AABB once through so you have it kind of in context and you can use that as maybe a practice point. Still nice slow tempo. Here we go. hopefully you had some success with that. If not, go back and work it and just kind of work on any particular spots you're missing. As always, nice and slow, and just get those particular bits, get them all cleaned up, and then see if you can put it back in context with the rest of the tune. Let's add in some ornaments, and then what we'll do is we'll run the whole thing again, more of it a slightly more up-tempo with some of those ornaments in there, and you can see how yours mesh up with mine and see if that gives you something to work on. But if you're interested in some more of the deep dive on this, I do have that available on my Patreon as well, some more ornamentation and some variation and things that we won't really have time to get through here in this video, but you're welcome to check that out, as well as tabs and sheet musics for the tune if you're so inclined. I like to cut both of those A's, the first octave and the second octave. I think it kind of gives a nice little bookendy feel. Be wary of that cut on the second octave A, just because it's pretty easy to squeak that note, so if you're not feeling super confident about that, slides work just as well. Then as we get into that second section, you've got that opportunity for some rolls. Hopefully, I mentioned this earlier, but hopefully you're picking up on some possibilities for some rolls and things like that. Anytime you get a good long held note, probably an option for a roll. So then the whole section would be a couple of rolls back to back. To me, again, that's sort of the hook of this tune, and I think it helps it to really stand out a bit. So then carrying on. Couple of changes there. One, sliding into that second octave A again, nice, confident. And then you're already up there in that second octave A, so hopefully that cut might be a little bit more secure. And then finishing up with a roll in the A again. Now the original basic melody, that's another pro tip, I suppose. Anytime you see back-to-back notes like that, you can substitute a roll pretty easily. Now in the B part, I am going to start with a cut again, like I did on the A part. Then a couple of good rolls, mimicking what I did in the A part. Same sort of thing there, I think works pretty well. Then I've got rolls on that second octave E, and that's kind of my favorite place to do stuff on the whistle. It's just an interesting sound, and it's kind of unique, I think, to the instrument. So, and all I'm doing there is just a roll on E, and then an extra cut, because it's basically 4 E's in a row in the music. It's a dotted quarter note, I guess, and then an extra eighth note. Not really doing anything else on those other couple of notes. It's just a basic A major arpeggio. So a good practice trick on that would be that particular run. Good separation between the notes. That's really all I'm going for on that part. The second time through, I'm not doing a full roll on that F sharp like I did in the first part. I'm doing a short roll because we're going to jump all the way from that low F sharp up to the second octave A, and I want to give myself time for that. And then it finishes the same way that the A part does. So that's what I'm doing with this tune, at least at a bare minimum. Give you a couple of things to mess around with. Now we'll play it a little bit more up-tempo, see how that does. Let's play it twice through just to give you some opportunity to run through it a little bit. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. bit of a flourish on the end. You're welcome to try that if you want. Let me know what y'all think of this tune. It's a cool one, and again, it's not often that I do newer original tunes, but it's got a cool groove, I think. I really dig it. I'm going to put a link to the original that Brian played down below if I can track it down. Surely it'll be on the internet someplace, so give that a listen for sure, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Cheers.